Hey, folks, I'm going to go to LinkedIn for a question that came in. This person wrote a novel, which is a good thing for extra context. I apologize. I'm incredibly burnt out from work, but I wanted to make some time to get through some videos because these questions that I saw come in from LinkedIn, there's one more I'm going to do after this tonight still. I think they're really important to get to, and I want to make sure that I can try to help. So, um, I'm not going to read the entire thing that this person sent in, but essentially they had an opportunity. So they're junior, trying to get into a development role, and they're already kind of working at a company, and they had the opportunity to do a project. And given some personal circumstances or whatever, they had a pretty short timeline to do it. They presented it. They were honest that they had some AI assistance. Um, and there's some parts of it they don't fully understand, but like they were able to deliver something. They said, showed some aspects of my human nature, was myself, was honest. And they said they were surprised by this, but one of the managers called them up and said, we'll give you 3 weeks to learn some of the basics and fundamentals of the language that they're using. And then he said he didn't mention anything about an assessment or a test or anything like that, just wants this individual to gain that understanding. Said the position will be junior for back end, and they said that they're basically coming to a close under 3 weeks. So looks like he was trying to put in the effort, and then he's essentially asking, given the situation that they're in, they're feeling anxious, and I think that makes sense. If for someone in this situation, they're going to feel anxious. So they said, I know you're an engineering manager, so you're the closest thing I can ask. If you were the manager in this situation, what aspects of the candidate are you going to look for? How can I make myself the best viable candidate as a junior dev? I thought I messed it up in the first place, and so I'm even more confused why they're letting me go ahead and go for a second chance to get this. Then they gave a little bit more background about themselves, and I think that this is it's an interesting situation to be in. So, I'm very hopeful this will be a success story, and part of me, I whatever I'm about to say in this video is not going to. I don't personally feel like is going to fundamentally change this person's success trajectory. But part of me is kind of like it would feel really cool to hear back from this person and they tell me how it went and it was successful. So I'm selfishly like, I want to be part of this success story. And I just wanted to say to folks, if you have questions you want answered, you can leave them in the comments, send me a message on LinkedIn. I try my best here. Like I said, had a super long day. I'm not, you could probably, if you watch my other videos, you can probably just tell, like, I'm not currently myself. But this kind of stuff is super important to me. So, um, okay, where to start? I think that I wanted to kind of talk about the fact that this person's like kind of surprised. And my gut tells me like they have the people that they're talking to that are like hiring for this position are probably looking at what I would call like good characteristics of a junior. And it's one of the reasons why I was saying like I don't think that anything I say on this video is going to fundamentally change how this person operates to change their success trajectory. Because I think that they are going to be successful at this. And what I mean by that is that the people that are giving them this opportunity, especially for junior candidates, of course, when we're talking about, and if it wasn't clear and I kind of skimmed over it, when they were kind of providing this information, they're taking like a bit of a backdoor path into the job opportunity, right? It's not, hey, let me submit my resume into the portal. It's going to get automatically put through software, or it's going to be put into the pile of like 1,000 other applicants. Someone's going to have to skim through it. That's a part of the job application process that, in my opinion, is just so broken right now because of the volume. Okay, so when we look at this kind of thing like stages, like I need to even get my I can't think of words, my resume notice, right, for this job application, and then I have to go do the interview. Like even that first step of like standing out um to get the interview, I think is really challenging. And it sounds like this person kind of did like a an assignment based interview as the first part. So they're already partway through like this interview, I'm going to call it like interview process. It's a little bit, I don't know, uncommon. But the reason I'm calling this out is because like when people are always saying, "Hey, it's impossible. There's no job opportunities." My point in covering this part in a little bit more detail is like notice how this isn't really a traditional way of doing it, right? We're kind of using call it like their inner network to try and find the opportunity, go forward and make something of it, and it's kind of like working so far. So it's not sometimes in the traditional paths it feels like statistically very impossible just given the volume, but this in my opinion this is a very interesting and creative way and interesting circumstance. So just wanted to kind of touch on that. But I think in this case the people that are hiring for the position, the reason I think that this is sort of good characteristics they're looking for is it sounds like it's not that other people aren't trying. So I want to be careful about how I say that. And given my current like I don't know like state of mind, I don't want to slip up on my words and like say the wrong thing that sounds like sounds off putting to different groups of people. But what I'm trying to say is like this person they did like a take home project. A lot of people are outright like absolutely not, like screw your interview. I'm not doing that. This person's like okay, I'll do the project. It's 2 weeks to do it. So they go put in the effort to do it, and it's and then they're honest, right? So they're talking about they're not trying to bullshit the people that are interviewing them. And I said this in a recent video, but um, when you can be calm and confident and honest and talk through things, that actually says a lot. Um, it's not like it's not like oftentimes the number one characteristic. Like if people are blown away by someone's technical skills and their behavioral interview skills, like those things might really shine. But there's something to be said about when you're having a conversation with someone and you're depending on how this person's being interviewed. If the person on the other end, the interviewer, is like, I could definitely see myself like working on problems with this person, debugging things, like designing stuff together. If they're getting that feeling based on the conversation, I feel like that carries some weight and it's kind of hard to quantify that. So I do try to recommend that people, and it's so much easier said than done. Try to be calm, try to be yourself. Um, and that's one of the things like it takes practice, right? I'm saying this as someone that gets nervous in interviews. I said this in the other video I made. The fact that I make these videos is an opportunity for me to practice like kind of fumbling on stuff. Like you're seeing me pause here and think and like that's not normal for my main YouTube channel. That stuff all gets edited out, but this just lets me practice like be you, just talk, right? Share your experiences, share your thoughts, try to be articulate in the things that you're saying. So this person I think was able to nail that, which they're saying, "Hey, I'm surprised I even had the chance." But I think what these individuals are looking for is like that's a set of characteristics and traits that probably stands out to them. So that's great. They see someone that's willing to take some initiative to go work on a project, go do some take home stuff. Um, and whatever they put together, like sometimes people are having this skewed perspective of like, just because they're seeing other people in the industry saying like, oh, all the juniors are using AI and like that's ruining them and stuff. I think people are getting kind of confused. Like, so should I not use AI? Like, what am I supposed to do? Maybe this employer is like, we don't care. Like, you're able to use AI when you're working here. I don't know that for a fact, by the way, but maybe that's how they look at it. And they're like, whatever, use whatever tools to build stuff. Like, you're going to be building stuff. That's how you build it. Okay. Um, so I kind of think that they're just looking for someone who's like curious and willing to, I don't know, like to put the effort in. So now this individual has spent some extra time to go brush up on their skills, try and learn some fundamentals. I'll be totally transparent. The timeline that was presented here, like 2 weeks for a project and then 3 weeks to learn some fundamentals, we're talking that's like a month and a week. It's 5 weeks in total, right? It's not a lot of time for anyone to get very far. However, this is for a junior role, and I think that some of the characteristics that can be demonstrated can go far. So to me, how I'm looking at this is like if this company had a list of 1,000 people that were applying, and they're like, okay, we got to filter through these, they can just keep setting the bar higher and higher. And they can say, great, we'll take the person with the most experience, blah, 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 because they can. They have that many people applying. Now, that's one way to look at it. And another way to look at it is like, and my personal opinion from building engineering teams is like, you, when you're trying to create a team, you genuinely do want different levels of experience. So just to give you an example, it's contrived obviously because I'm making it up on the spot. If I had a team of 5 software engineers, or let's say it's 4 and I want it to be 5, I have a principal level engineer, I have 2 seniors, I have a mid level engineer, okay, and then I'm like, hey, I don't have any juniors. If I had a bunch of applications coming in and I want to get a junior engineer, I'm not necessarily like, say someone applied and they were like, I've been a software engineer for 10 years. That's cool. But like, I actually might not want that in structuring my team. And I realize some people are like, that's bullshit, Nick. Like, why wouldn't you take the person with the most experience? It's because I'm trying to get a junior engineer. There's a reason for it. I want to have continuity in the team. I want to make sure that the mid-level engineer can have someone they can work with that's more junior than them. Like, we need to think about these coaching opportunities. We need to think about what people are, the types of work people can focus on. Imagine if that was now a team of 5 principal engineers and there's smaller changes and bug fixes and stuff. They're not going to want to do that. The types of work that might be challenging or engaging will look different depending on people's level of experience. The more like the principal level engineers might say, I'm looking for bigger organizational type impact work that might be months of like coordinating and putting things together and delivering on stuff. And then it's like, yeah, but we have like this backlog of like bugs we have to get to and stuff. Like those might be great for someone junior to be like, hell yeah, I'm building momentum on this stuff. I'm learning about the system. Like there's I'm giving you some like very high level reasons, but I think there's many good reasons I can think of why I would genuinely want to make sure I have continuity in levels. You if you're not an engineering manager or you are and you structure teams in a different way, I don't know what to tell you, but that's how I look at things. So I don't think that it's totally out of the ordinary that they might be looking at this person and saying this would be a great junior person to bring in. Okay, so back to what this person's asking specifically, because if you know me, I like my tangents. Um, if you were the manager in the situation, what aspects of the candidate are you truly going to look for from their view? And how can I make myself the best viable candidate as a junior dev? Okay, so first thing is that it sounds like they gave you homework to go learn some fundamentals. And I want to address this part because it sounds like that's something where they're like, this seems like it still might be a little bit of a gap. So we want to make sure that we could make some progress here. They also didn't mention a test, right? So like I don't know how this is going to be evaluated, but I would put some thought into that. Like, how do we anticipate that they're going to say like how do we follow up and confirm this person put in the effort, right? So I would try to think about the major topics that you learned about. Okay, I have to acknowledge like this is not a long period of time, and given that this person was saying they're ending that 3 week period, it's not like I can say, oh, go, like my advice is always like go build projects and spend the time building things. Like you're out of time. It's how it is. So I would try to think about some of these concepts, right? Like what did you learn about object oriented programming in C sharp? That's the language they're using, by the way. I didn't mention that. I was trying to omit it because I didn't think it was relevant, but and it's not really, but I just blurted it out. So, what did you learn about that in C sharp? What did you learn about? I don't know if they had to build like an ASP.NET Core, but like be ready to kind of think about some of these things that you went in to explore. How does a dictionary work? How does a list work? Maybe not the low level data structure, like theoretical concepts, but like, do you understand like what that is in C sharp or whatever language? If you're trying to relate this to your situation, like think about some of the basics you learned so that you can talk about those things. Now, they might they might quiz you on this stuff. It's kind of weird. I'm trying to think if I were in this situation, I said I want someone to go brush up on C sharp. What am I going to do? Honestly, I think one of the best ways would be to put some code in front of them that's not convoluted. It's not like something that I dug up that's like, 15 years old that I wrote when, was a lot more rough. Every year that goes by, I'm like, I really wrote that. But not dig something up that's ridiculous, something they should be able to follow, and just be like, hey, can you walk me through like what this code is doing? Like, I think that would be a cool thing to do, to be able to say, like, if you don't understand anything and I've picked something that I feel like is relatively straightforward, maybe I have a method that goes and operates on a collection, or I have something that's going to call a database. And then it does like a two array, and maybe I want to, and then it's like doing a for each loop or something. I might say, hey, like, did I need to do that two array up here? What's the implication of that? Like, you might not know, but can you like reason about what's going on there? Um, just different things like that. Like if you see async await code, maybe I might show you something with a small bug in it and say like, hey, so maybe there's some async await code and I'm not awaiting something. Again, sorry if these details aren't making sense because of the language constructs, but maybe I'm like, hey, I would expect that someone would have learned this. And could I show you some code with a bug and say, hey, there's a bug in here. Can you tell me what it is and what's happening and how we would fix it? So like just some really simple scenarios. That might be how I go try and gauge what someone's learned. But it's hard to answer this, right? Because I don't want to tell them, hey, that's what's going to happen, and then it's not. So my advice would be anticipate something like that, because if I were the people that, were on the hiring side of this, and I said I would like you to go learn some of the fundamental stuff, I would be preparing myself to answer those types of questions or think through a scenario like that. So that's one part. Um, Now on the rest of it, I think something, and I'm kind of speculating here, but I'm guessing something that's working really well for this individual is that they are demonstrating that they're eager, that they're willing to learn. Right? They've been some challenges put in front of them. Right? Like, how are you going to adapt and go learn this stuff? I think that I would be leaning into that because I think that that's working well. Personally, when I talk about characteristics of engineers that I would like to hire, this is a level agnostic kind of thing, by the way, because these are going to be characteristics that I like to hire for, and your level of experience isn't going to change the fact that I'm looking for these things. Your level of experience will gauge my like expectations on technical contributions or experiences like leading projects and that kind of stuff. So the things that I like to look for are genuinely people that are curious, right? Because there's going to be problems. We're going to have to debug stuff. Stuff isn't always going to work. There's going to be things that are ambiguous. I need people to be curious, right? So that's one part. I want to make sure that people are, I don't know a better phrase, but like eager to learn is another thing, because being curious is one part of that, but eager to learn is another, because when we're faced with challenges, I want to make sure that people are not only curious about what's going on, but like if they need to be put into a new situation, they're like, hell yeah, like this is new, this is cool, like I want to dig into this. So I kind of look at those two things. I like for me, it's all soft skills, just to make it short, right? Like it's soft skills. So like your ability to problem solve and explain what's going on, I think is very important. It's for me, that's mostly about, I need you to articulate your thought process, because if you're curious, right, you're going to go dig into things. That's great, but I need you to be able to communicate that as well. So that's another aspect. But honestly, for really junior people, I'm kind of like, I want you to be able to learn. I want you to learn quickly, and I want you to be curious about stuff. I want you asking questions. I want you to dig in and try to be like proactively, like how, like tell me how this works. I'm curious. Like I need to like learn and understand, because I think that when people are acting like that, it's like, I don't know a good way to put it. It's like this eagerness to improve. And then as I'm working with engineers like on my teams, if I can see that, if I can kind of tap into that, then for me it's like, okay, like how do we steer into their strengths? How do we address their weaknesses? But then I have someone who's at least like, I kind of look at it like they have some momentum. And not everyone's going to be like that. And sometimes it just feels like the momentum is slower. I think that's kind of what I'm saying. So for a junior person, those are some of the things that I would really like to see demonstrated. So, this person, that's why I said, I think this person is doing this kind of stuff, right? So, yeah, I think that's how I would answer this. Um, I'm excited for this person. I think that if they genuinely put in the effort, that's the thing I don't know, right? I'm reading this. I can't possibly know. Maybe they're like, I kind of slacked off. I didn't do anything, or I put in the time, but it didn't translate into anything. I don't know that. I'm very hopeful for them. I'm excited. I'm hoping that they watch this, and I'm hoping it's helpful. But like I said, I think that they're already doing the things that I would hope for. So, yeah, I hope that's helpful, and for other folks too. Like I said, if you have questions you want answered, like this individual didn't leave a comment, they sent me a message on LinkedIn. I really appreciate that. Thank you for. It's kind of a weird thing to say, but thank you for kind of like trusting me to offer some perspective. Like that actually means a lot to me. So. Thanks so much. I will send this video over to this person, and I hope that it helps them, and I hope that it helps someone else. So thanks, and I'm going to record the next one. Take care.